We have Jonathan Hunt, who is standing by at the scene, and he can bring us the very latest information that he is hearing from there. We're still working to get him. Actually, he is there. Jonathan, what is the latest?
Got you. Heather, I think you're talking to me. We're getting several voices from your control room at the same time. But what we can tell you is that behind us, behind these police lines, is the Borderline Bar and Grill, where at around 11:20 last night, that would be 2:20 a.m. this morning, East Coast time, a gunman opened fire. What police are telling us at this point is very little. We do know that there were 11 victims. We do know that one of those victims was a sheriff's deputy. He was apparently responding to calls of an active shooter at that point. Now, this was college night, apparently, at the Borderline Bar and Grill, so a lot of college students from a couple of nearby colleges were there. California Lutheran is nearby here. Pepperdine is just over the hill towards Malibu. So we're told that a lot of college students were on the premises at the time. It's a large venue. You go in, it has a bar, it has a very large dance floor. They do country and western dancing lessons, for instance, in there. We don't know how many people were in there for sure, but I've heard a couple of people coming out from the bar saying it was indeed pretty busy, and any gunman who happened to walk in would have a pretty open shot, apparently, as you go up the stairs and looking then down on a dance floor. That would give you a pretty open shot if you were so inclined. So what we know for now, as a fact from officials, is that at least 11 people have been shot. One of those includes a sheriff's deputy. We do not know the extent of any injuries. We do not know if there have been any fatalities at all. We are expecting another update coming shortly from officials here on the scene, and we'll bring you any news we get as soon as we can, Heather.
Jonathan, can you tell me what we know, if anything, about the suspect? They're being very careful to not say that the suspect is under arrest, or if, in fact, the suspect has been injured. All they're saying at this point is that they believe the suspect is still inside the venue and that he is not a threat to anyone outside in the surrounding area.
Yeah, what we're getting, Heather, is the usual careful and coded talk from officials saying that they do not believe there is an ongoing threat. That would tend to indicate that they have taken out that threat. We do not know that for sure at this point, and we do not know if the shooter himself has been killed or whether he has been injured and taken into custody. But we do know that officials are saying that there is not an active threat at the moment. We never want to get ahead of ourselves in this kind of reporting. We're always cautious. We wait for officials to give us real facts until we report them. But for now, they are saying there is no further threat from this shooter, and that is as far as we and they, more importantly, are willing to go at this point, Heather.
Yeah, I'm trying to be very careful to use the exact phrasing that we've heard there from the Sheriff's Department, and it's very unusual. They seem to be going to an extreme to not say if, in fact, the shooter is down. So it will be interesting to see why they're doing that.
Heather, I think part of that, I think part of what is going on here is you were not talking about a small restaurant here. This is a very big venue. So in these situations, you get them having to go room by room, square foot by square foot, as they go through the area, make sure there is nobody else hiding there, make sure there are no other injured people, make sure there isn't even a second shooter. So they want to sweep that building room by room, square foot by square foot, before they say anything definitive. That is their customary way of behaving here, and that's why we report it in the way that they tell us to. We go
Right.
by their timeline, not one that we hear via rumors, etc., here on the streets outside.
Yeah, and social media. We were talking about that earlier, too, because rumors go out almost instantly. There's a completely different new day and age when it comes to reporting from the scene and witness accounts, which you have to be careful about as well. I do want to ask you one more question. I know we don't know a lot. We're waiting for this additional news conference. Hopefully we'll get some more. You mentioned the possibility of a second suspect. I was wondering as well about that because we haven't really heard anything in that area.
Yeah, we've not heard anything beyond a single shooter at this point. Now, some of the people coming out of the venue have talked about the chaos, talked about hearing many, many shots. That is what you hear so often. Sadly, for all of us who are in the reporting field these days, we've covered many of these kind of instances. And it's very important to note that the kind of information you hear from witnesses on the ground as they emerge from these tragic instances are obviously not often reflective of fact. They often think that they hear more than one shooter. That is often the echo of firing off of walls, etc. And it can appear when you're in that situation and obviously in a complete sense of terror that there is more than one shooter around you. At the moment, all we have from police is that they believe one shooter. Again, not confirmed, but that is the belief at this point. One shooter, no longer a threat.
Okay, Jonathan, I see some activity behind you. We'll let you go listen in if this press conference is beginning, and we appreciate your coverage. Thank you. Not a lot of information yet, but just to bring you up to speed, there has been a mass casualty situation. This continues to develop live. You're looking at live pictures here from Thousand Oaks, California. That is about 40 miles west from Los Angeles in Ventura County, where there has been a shooting. We can confirm at least 11 people have been shot, including a sheriff's deputy who has been transported to the hospital. There is no information officially available about the suspect at this time, although a spokesperson for the Sheriff's Department does say they believe the suspect is still inside the Borderline Bar and Grill where this is happening, and that there is no danger at this point to people there in the vicinity outside of the venue itself. The venue, a country music hall, about 2,500 square feet, a massive space. You can see first responders, paramedics, sheriff's deputies, all of them working the scene. We will continue to follow this as it continues to develop. Right now, we continue our breaking coverage.
All right, thank you, Heather. And we continue this Fox News alert and our breaking news coverage this morning of the mass shooting in California. I'm Jillian Mealy.
And I'm Rob Schmidt. A look at the scene here live from above, and a number of people, 11 people confirmed at last check, have been shot inside of this bar and restaurant. That includes a sheriff's deputy after a gunman storms this packed California restaurant and bar overnight. Here's another live look here at the scene near the Borderline Bar. This is in Thousand Oaks. That's about 40 miles north and west of Los Angeles in the San Fernando Valley.
That's right. It's not clear yet if anyone has died, but we do know at least 11 people have been shot. Hundreds were inside at the time of this shooting. Officials say the suspect is contained inside, that the suspect is not a threat to the community outside. It is not clear if the suspect has been killed, hurt, or captured at this time. A sheriff's deputy transported to the hospital. Witnesses say the shooter was using a handgun and smoke grenades.
All right, the restaurant was hosting a college country night. It appears they do this every Wednesday night. There have been several people found hiding in the attic and in the bathrooms. There were hundreds of people inside of this massive bar and restaurant. There's a few colleges right around this area. I mean, you're very close to Thousand Oaks. You're in kind of the Western Valley there in Southern California.
That's right. Cal Lutheran nearby, Pepperdine, LSU, Channel Islands nearby as well.
And Pepperdine is a Christian university. Cal Lutheran is obviously a Lutheran university. And this was a very young bar. We just heard from a witness a little while ago who was 19 years old. She was inside. She managed to get out. And again, this is a huge country western bar. They do line dancing on Wednesday night. They have a line dancing class at 9:30. You can learn how to do it. So imagine a lot of very young people inside at a country bar.
You know, we've been able to hear a lot of reports from witnesses, from people who were inside the bar and who were able to thankfully make it out safely. And one of the things that we heard repeatedly over the course of the last few hours since this happened, around 11:20 p.m. local time in California, a lot of witnesses said that people were throwing chairs to break the windows to be able to escape out of the windows.
It's terrifying. We did just get a report from one of our sources who says that he understands that the suspect in this potentially is a man of Middle Eastern descent, possibly wearing either a beard, having a beard, or wearing a bandana, wearing all black with a trench coat. We had another witness who said that the shooter seemed to have perfect form as he was firing off a barrage of bullets right after walking into this bar, which is located right off the 101 and Moore Park. This is in Thousand Oaks, California. That's near Calabasas. It's Ventura County in the San Fernando Valley.
And we are expecting an update from police at any moment. We've already heard multiple reports from police over the course of the last few hours, certainly keeping us updated. That first report, I believe it was, police said that they knew 6 people were injured. Then after that, they came back and said 11. So at this point, we're still trying to learn more information. Yeah. And we do have our own Jonathan Hunt live on the scene. Jonathan, what have you heard since you've been out there?
Well, Rob and Gillian, good morning to you. You set the groundwork well. So what I want to do right now is bring in Ventura County Sheriff's Captain Katurian. What do we know at the moment? 11 hurt in this?
That's the information we have at this point. That number may change as we get more information, but at this point, the number is 11 people that have been injured.
And one of those, as we understand, is a sheriff's deputy?
Yes, one of them was a sheriff's deputy that was injured.
Now, was this deputy attending the bar, or was this deputy responding to the call?
He was responding to the call of shots fired.
And what is his condition at this point?
I don't have his condition. I don't know what his condition is. I don't know what the condition of any of the victims are at this point. But we suspect that number may increase as we get additional information.
Where and in what condition is the shooter at this moment?
The shooter, we feel, is confined to inside the bar and grill. We don't feel that there's a threat to the general public outside the bar and grill. I don't know what his condition is at this point, but I hope to have more information soon to give you.
And multiple reports that smoke grenades were used by the shooter as he went in. This is coming from people who were in the bar at the time. What do you know about that?
I've heard those reports as well, just being out here, but I can't confirm those with investigators. They have not been able to confirm that for me.
Are your deputies inside the building right now?
Yes, we have deputies inside the building as well as the surrounding areas, collecting evidence and looking around at this point, yes.
Is the building clear?
Yes, the building is clear.
So only the shooter is left inside as far as you're concerned?
I don't know how many people are left inside the building. I don't know if there are other victims that are inside the building or not. And I don't know if they were all transported or not.
But there is no longer a threat to anybody either inside or immediately outside that building?
No, there is not.
Does that mean the shooter has been neutralized?
I don't know if he was taken into custody or if he was neutralized or if he was injured and transported.
But no further threat?
No further threat to the public.
Okay, Captain, thank you very much for your extra information this morning. So there you have it, Rob and Gillian. 11 shot. The sheriff's captain confirming to us right now doesn't have the conditions of those. Confirms too that among those shot was a sheriff's deputy. He said they have heard the reports that smoke grenades were used by the shooter as he entered the building. He does not confirm that from their own investigation, but he does say he believes that the site itself, the Borderline Bar and Grill, is now, in his words, secure. Sheriff's deputies are inside and around that building. And the most important point right now is that he has just told us he believes there is no further threat, meaning that the shooter in some way or another has been neutralized. Now, that can mean one of two things. He's taken into custody or he has been shot dead. There are some reports here locally that the shooter was indeed himself killed. We have not confirmed that, and as you just heard the sheriff's captain saying, he cannot confirm that at this point, but they do say that there is no further threat to the general public either inside the venue or in the immediate environs right now. That is the one piece of good news on what is turning out to be a tragic few early hours of the morning here in Thousand Oaks, California. Robin, Jillian?
And Jonathan Hunt, thank you. And that is certainly good news for a lot of people in the area that we are reporting there is no other significant threat, that there is no threat, in fact, to people who are outside of this bar. And also you heard him say, he asked the question, is there a threat to anyone else who might be inside the bar still? And you heard police say no.
It sounds like the suspect is certainly either in custody or dead. We'll wait to get that update from police as it happens. This is a huge bar that was very busy on a Wednesday night. It was college night at this Western bar. There are a lot of witnesses that saw this happen, and thankfully a lot of people that survived that are outside of the bar. Let's listen to some of them.
We just heard everyone say, run. Booked it out to the parking lot, tried to get near my car.
It was a struggle to get out
And
the door. Finally got out the door.
I was there with like a group of people, very amazing people. Luckily, 2 paramedics and an ex-veteran, thank God. Very fortunate to have them there because there were 2 people a little injured.
And just laid down there.
And we're hearing a lot of witness reports. We heard, actually, I've been listening to, a number of the local stations out there over the course of the last few hours, and one girl was on the phone with a station out there saying, all my friends are safe, I'm safe, but my brother was there. Yeah. My brother works there, waiting to hear from him.
Right, we actually have some witnesses that we're hearing live right now. Let's listen in.
Did you see what kind of weapon it was?
I don't know. I only know I think it was a semi-automatic. Yeah. I just heard 18 to 20 rounds at a time. That's all I heard before I got out.
That is an insane amount of, and first of all, we all just want to thank you for coming to talk to us and telling us, because we know that there's not a lot of information right now. So thank you for what you've gone through.
Yeah, of course.
It's very scary. And tell us also, did you see anyone who was down that wasn't getting back up?
I'm not sure. Our main concern was just take cover, hoping that all of our friends that were in there also could get out safe. I didn't see anyone else that was down that stayed down, but it was such a blur. I don't even know what to think of it still.
Have you been able to talk to any of your friends?
Yeah, we've talked to some. I met some people out there. At first, it was hard to find people, but I found a lot of people that I knew in there. So. It was just us there together, and then we just knew other people.
And no way to even know how many shots were fired.
It was too many. By the time we got out there, we knew it was still happening, but then we got out, so we had no count of anything.
You didn't see the shooter at all?
He was behind us, so we didn't really get a good look. I saw someone walk in, and then I saw the shots go off as well as hearing them, but I didn't really see what the guy looked like. I just heard that and saw shots go off, and I just wanted him to get down.
When did you realize something was wrong?
As soon as I heard the first shot go off. As soon as we heard the first one, we both got down, and then everyone else got down right afterwards, so we knew immediately after the first shot something was happening.
How do you describe it?
I pushed her down, I got her to get out, and then I went ahead and kind of crawled behind the wooden stage, and then after that I waited until there was a second of non-shooting, I guess, and I just kind of went from one place to the other, and then we separated and got separated and then ended up coming back and finding each other.
Is it super loud in there? Like it's not like the guy could have walked in and said something that anyone would have heard.
No, the music is very, very loud, and the gunshots were obviously a lot more. You knew when they happened,
yeah.
You knew.
How crowded was it? What was it like leading up to this?
I think it was. I think it was at random, but it sounded like random. I don't heard.
Going often? How many people would you say were in there?
I don't know. It comes. It is what it is nice. I would have to say at least over 100 were there. Yeah, definitely. We do come here often. We come here at least once a week, maybe more. So we know a lot of people here. So that was one of the hardest things tonight, was trying to figure out, who got out, who didn't, and who we knew and where they were.
Your names, please, and spell them.
My name is Kayla, Kayla. My name name's Summer, Summer.
You guys are so sweet for stopping.
All right, so just while we were listening to that live, we did get a couple of new reports. The Ventura County spokesperson confirmed that the shooter is dead, and also we're hearing reports of multiple fatalities.
Yeah, a number of people, it sounds to be multiple people killed inside of this bar. The shooter has been killed as well. We don't know if sheriff's deputies came in and shot and killed him, or if he killed himself, but we do know that at least 11 people were shot. It just breaks your heart to listen to 19, 20, 21-year-old girls sit outside crying outside of a bar, wrapped in a blanket, describing what they just witnessed. It's just terrible.
Yeah, a place that on a Wednesday night, is a place they go to for college night, for fun.
Right.
It's a massive place. It's about 2,500 square feet of just dance floor, as we understand it. So it's an open area inside, and you can't imagine what they've dealt with the last few hours.
It's terrible, and we're going to go to the phone now. And former Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Lieutenant Randy Sutton joins us now here on the phone. And Randy, it sounds like the killer here is dead himself. What have you been hearing about who this man potentially is, or a description of him?
Well, the information I'm receiving from my sources is that the suspect is dead, that the threat has been neutralized. Now, I don't know whether the individual was killed by law enforcement during the gunfight, or whether or not he took his own life. But the information I do have is that he is a Middle Eastern male, that he was heard shouting something prior to the shooting, and that the individual did a number of shootings, as well as engaging with a sheriff's deputy. The sheriff's deputy is in the hospital. I have not gotten an update on his condition or her condition, but the injury sounds to be very critical. And the individual who did this is down, but I do not know whether or not he took his own life or was killed by law enforcement.
Randy, a lot of the reports that we've been hearing from witnesses, people have said that smoke bombs were used. Tell us about that.
Yeah, and this is indicative of a very well-planned event. An individual who just simply arms himself and walks into a venue that has a large crowd of people. This would be consistent with a terrorist incident. I understand it's way too early to label this. However, there are signs here that would be very consistent with a terrorist attack, similar to what has been seen in Europe, where there are venues with concert goers, and because of the concentrated number of people and the soft target that it is, it makes a kind of a terrorist's buffet, if you will. I mean, they see an event like this, they see a number of victims that they can take out. This individual using smoke bombs would add mass confusion to the event. Keep in mind that this is a rather large venue, but it's an indoor venue. So by employing devices like smoke bombs into a structure like that, you throw a massive confusion aspect, as if the shooting wouldn't be enough. You throw devices like this into the venue, and you have even more confusion and more access to mass casualty.
Sir, when you hear the descriptions of these young ladies that have been describing what they heard as far as the gunfire, I'm not a weapons expert, but does that sound to you like a semi-automatic rifle, like an AR-15?
Well, I don't know whether it's a rifle or a pistol, but it's by the number of casualties and the number of shots, it is probably a semi-automatic weapon, semi-automatic pistol or rifle. It doesn't really matter. The number of rounds
they fire just as quickly.
That would be fired with either weapon would be about the same.
Unfortunately, Randy, we've been through this so many times that at this point, we almost don't have to ask what are police doing right now. I mean, we know that they're going to go to the suspect's home. What else can you tell us as far as the investigation?
Well, assuming that the suspect is down, that if they have identified who this individual is, and that's really a matter of conjecture, because if the subject planned this, which he clearly did.
Hey,
did that
Randy, I'm sorry to cut you off. I hate to do this, but we're going to go live outside. We have somebody that's giving some sound to reporters. Hang on.
And then all of a sudden, like...
Are you guys all college students together? Did you...
He saved me. He's the one that dragged me out.
Can you tell us about that, sir? Will you tell us about how you saved her? If you can come a little closer. Sorry, there's just a lot of us.
I mean, once I realized what was, happening, it was pretty obvious. Get out.
Use bar stools to get through? Is that what you...
No, we didn't. They did.
I took her throughout the back exit and tossed her over the wall. Sorry about scratching you up again.
I saw those scratches.
How did you keep your wits about you to be able to do that? You knew that this guy had a gun, he was shooting it, and you still managed to keep your head clear and do what you did.
Well, I was in the Army for a good minute. Private contractor now, so kind of all falls together at that point.
You didn't. Obviously, you stayed calm.
That's the idea. Yeah. You have to.
How soon did you know that something was wrong?
After the second shot. At first I thought it was fireworks. Then that kind of didn't really make any sense.
Did you see him? Did you see his face?
No, I got her to the ground before I looked at him.
What do you... I mean, it's only been minutes since this has all happened. I mean, I can only imagine what you're thinking, how you're feeling right now. I just imagine you're trying to find all of your friends, right?
2 are still missing, so that's really wearing out on the stress a little bit right now.
Did you see people down?
I watched an officer get shot in front of me, and I had to help drag him and throw him into the back of the cop car.
How badly hurt was he?
He was unresponsive.
So you helped get him to the another vehicle, though.
Yes, sir.
What's your memory of the first few seconds?
Okay, thank you.
Well, your name, just your name.
Well, there we go. This man, obviously, really, truly a hero. Not only helping.
Wow.
No, that's something else. That's an Army veteran. He tells the media there outside, who says he threw a young woman out of the bar trying to help people get out of there. He apologized for scratching her up a little bit, trying to save her life. Also says that he witnessed that sheriff's deputy be shot. Said he was unresponsive as he helped to drag that sheriff's deputy out of the bar and get him into a car so that he could be transported to a hospital. What a story that is.
You also heard him say, I didn't realize until the second shot, because at first I thought it was fireworks. You hear that time and time again. And luckily he was, someone who was smart enough to say, wait a second, that doesn't make sense. That's what he said. Fireworks don't make sense. So we got to get out of here.
Right. That makes, that's exactly right. We're going to go to Pastor Dimas Salvarios now. He's the president of Concerts of Prayer, Greater New York. He was recently at that synagogue shooting in Pittsburgh, which was